Hello everybody, Angel Arts here, and welcome to, ladies and gentlemen, my very first video of my gay Let's Play Dragon Age Inquisition. Now, some of you might be asking yourselves, why Angel Arts? What are you talking about? The game hasn't been released yet. Has it? Well, no. The bad news is no, the game has not actually released yet. However, the good news is the Dragon Age Keep just went into open beta today, and with it being viewable to the general public, I thought it would be a great time for me to finally check the Keep out, go through all of my choices, and record my first time impressions going through and seeing the Keep for essentially the very first time. Not only will this allow you guys to view my initial, I guess, quote-unquote blind first-time experience with the Keep, it also gives you a chance to remind yourselves or learn about all of the choices that I made throughout my Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2 and DLC playthroughs. For those of you who are new to my channel, I do have Let's Plays of Dragon Age Origins and all the DLCs, as well as Dragon Age 2 and all the DLCs. But if you haven't watched any of them, of course, you're welcome to watch them. I know that some of you may either not have the time to watch through all of them, or are just not really interested, to be perfectly honest, to watch through all of them. And that's perfectly fine. I totally understand. I totally get it. So if instead what you wanted to do is to watch this video, it'll basically catch you up and let you know what's been going on with my Warden and my Hawke, and you can get your own special summary if you are interested in moving ahead and watching the rest of my Dragon Age Inquisition gay Let's Play blind. So yeah, without further ado, let's go check this out, folks. I'm really excited. Welcome to the Dragon Age Keep. Oh, I'm so excited for this. Review your Dragon Age records, review your Dragon Age 2 records, review your Dragon Age story. Okay. So I guess I'm going to sync my data. Yeah, let's sync my data. Dragon Age Origins records. Data syncing. Dragon Age Origins syncing. Something missing, blah blah. Oh my gosh, wow, look. So it's grabbing all of the data it can find, and it looks like it's even including some of the DLCs that I acquired, which is pretty awesome. The level of detail, like all the data that this Keep is grabbing, like 253 points. I guess those are all the different... Are those all the different choices? They're individual choices and possible... Oh wow. Accomplishments found. I don't think I got... Yeah, I didn't get all of the accomplishments, but that's okay. Your Dragon Age 2 records, data syncing, data found. Okay. This is pretty awesome. I'm already impressed. Like I said, I'm going through this completely blind. I did watch the brief demo that BioWare published, I think a month or two ago, where they kind of walked through some parts of the Keep just as a sneak preview. But other than that, I don't know. I haven't seen anything else of the Keep. So a lot of, virtually all of this is me experiencing the Keep for the very first time. In the Dragon Age Keep, you can use your heroes to recreate your Dragon Age story the way you remember it. Pick a hero to help build the story you'll play in Dragon Age Inquisition. Please keep in mind that it may take some time for all your custom heroes to appear, especially during busy periods, which is probably pretty busy right now considering how we went, on open beta today. So, 12 custom heroes detected. Did I really play that? Did I really play these games that many times? That's pretty awesome. So guys, I think what ended up happening is Angelus doesn't seem to be in here, and I think I might know why. It's because the Angelus actually, his class is a Spirit Eater class, which essentially is sort of mostly rogue but part mage as well. It was a class from a mod, and I think because of that, the Dragon Age Keep wasn't able to upload him because of the modded class that he has. It doesn't recognize Angelus. So what we're going to do is we're just gonna build Angelus from scratch. Okay guys, so we're gonna start from scratch here. I sort of remade Angelus as a city elf rogue. So we're gonna choose him as the hero. And now we're going to choose Clive as our, there we go, Clive as our mage, as our champion. Yes, Clive as our champion. Thank you, you're now ready to discover and shape your Dragon Age experience. Alright, I think I'm gonna have to make changes as I go through this, so let's watch our story.
If you believe the stories, mankind's pride gave rise to the
Derek's narrating this.
Countless
Nice.
in number and toxic to all life, darkspawn search endlessly for an archdemon. When they
Yep.
find one, darkspawn armies surge up from their corrupt barrows beneath the ground, and a blight begins.
Oh.
Grey Wardens are the only warriors capable of destroying an archdemon, and history always honors the one who sacrifices all to kill the beast. In the fifth blight, the Warden was the hero of Ferelden.
Yay,
An elf
Angelus!
raised in the Denerim's close-knit, impoverished alienage.
Woo!
The unlikely hero joined in a fight for elven rights, drawing the wrath of Denerim's nobility.
Saurus, I
Duncan,
miss
a
you.
Grey Warden, pressed the young elf into the Warden's service to escape.
Nice.
The allied Ferelden and Grey Warden forces met in Ostagar, where King Kaelin's armies and a host of Wardens gathered, ready to destroy the Darkspawn. But valor turned to despair as Loghain betrayed his king. Kaelin's forces were slaughtered, and the South was lost. The hero, now a full-fledged Grey Warden, survived with the aid of Flemeth, the mysterious witch of the wilds. Joined by Flemeth's daughter, Morrigan, and a Grey Warden named Alistair, the hero set out to build an army strong enough to abolish the Blight.
Oh, Al. I miss you, buddy.
With the traitorous Loghain now seated on Ferelden's throne, the Warden sought help from the influential Arl Eamon of Redcliffe. However, they arrived in Redcliffe to find the town under siege.
Ooh,
As
okay.
each night,
Did the Warden help the village of Redcliffe fight the undead hordes at nightfall? I believe we did. Yeah, I believe we did help Redcliffe. We definitely did. We definitely did.
undead
Yes.
rose in waves and assailed the battered village. With the hero's help, the people of Redcliffe stood fast against the undead horde. The Wardens reached Arl Eamon's castle only to find the Arl lying at the edge of death, and his court fallen into madness.
Yeah.
To save his father's life, Eamon's young son, Connor, had made a deal with a demon.
What happened to Connor? Connor definitely did not die. We saved him. Because we ended up going back to the Circle of Magi and brought back First Enchanter Irving, as well as I think a few other mages, and we even had oh gosh, what's his name? The mage who taught Connor. Jowen. Yes, Jowen. We had Jowen go in because we thought it was only fitting. Jowen technically got Connor and his dad into that mess in the first place. It was only fitting for Jowen to try to redeem as much as he could, or at least make reparations for what he did by having him go in. So you can have Connor be alive and possessed? Wow. I didn't realize. How do you do that? I guess maybe if you just didn't go to Redcliffe. No, you had to go to Redcliffe. I'm not sure. That's it. It's really cool. The one thing I love about the Keep is that it actually shows you outcomes that you never even knew was possible. But yeah, no, we had Connor was alive and not possessed. So.
And quickly fallen victim to its possession. The hero intervened, freeing Connor from possession.
That's right.
And breaking the demon's hold over Redcliffe. But deals with demons are never straightforward. The demon agreed only to save Eamon's life, not restored him to health. Arl Eamon needed a miracle to recover.
Well, that's why we had
The hero
Angelus.
located an urn containing the sacred ashes of Andraste, which were said to cure any ailment. The urn was protected by ancient traps, tests of will, and a dragon-worshipping cult that wanted to twist the...
Did the Warden poison the urn of sacred ashes? No, we did not. We did not poison it. Because if you remember, Angelus was actually fairly religious. He was a fairly religious elf who followed the Maker, and he would definitely not do that. Definitely not.
Its power to its own ends. The urn remained pure, but mysteriously disappeared after the Wardens departed. Only the temple dedicated to it still stands.
Brother Genitivi knew about
With a pinch
it.
of the ashes, the hero restored the Arl to health. Informed of Logain's treachery, Eamon swore his political and military support. The circles of Magi are bound by oath to aid the Grey Wardens in times of blight. However, Lake Calenhad's tower could offer little help. One of its mages, Uldred, had become possessed by a pride demon and was twisting other circle mages into...
Who did the Warden support at the Broken Circle? We supported the mages. Because Angelus was not a mage per se, he was a spirit eater, but he could cast spells. He was essentially a mage. So he wanted to help them out and felt that the Templars were jumping the gun by calling the Rite of Annulment
abominations. The hero fought to the top of the tower and defeated Uldred, saving the remaining mages. Grateful for their lives, the mages joined the Warden's army. The allies gained at the Circle were not the only soldiers to join the Warden's forces, however. Dalish elves don't usually make alliances, but even deep hatred can be set aside in the face of oblivion. An ancient curse was destroying Ferelden's largest Dalish clans, turning the elves into werewolves. Zathrian, the clan's keeper, claimed that the cure required the heart of the great wolf, Witherfang.
Right.
Years before, Zathrian himself had afflicted a group of humans with the curse that now ravaged his...
How did the Warden resolve the problems between the werewolves and the elves? I believe, we brokered peace because we didn't side with the elves or the werewolves. We were able to broker peace with them, but it cost Zathrian his life.
His clan. As long as he lived, the curse endured. The hero freed the werewolves from the long-standing curse, and the Dalish joined the Warden's forces.
That's right.
Blights may happen hundreds of years apart, but the dwarves who live below the surface of Thedas fight Darkspawn every day. No one is better schooled in battling Darkspawn than the warriors of Orzammar, except perhaps their allies of old, the Grey Wardens. The hero arrived in Orzammar in the wake of King Endrin's death to find political factions fighting for control of the dwarven capital. Only the vote of a venerated paragon could break the deadlock to elect a ruler, and order the dwarves to honor their Grey Warden treaty and join the battle against the new blight. The hero set off to find a paragon named Branka, who had disappeared into the Deep Roads in search of a legendary artifact.
The Anvil of the Void.
Anvil of the Void.
Yep.
Created by the renowned smith Caridin to forge mighty war.
Did the Warden choose Branka or Caridin in the Deep Roads? So, Angelus felt that Branka was a bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. She was a bit overzealous with the whole Anvil of the Void thing. And if you watch my Dragon Age RPG campaign, there's a little bit more about Branka and the golems and stuff in there. But anyway, we did side with Caridin. We didn't side with Branka because she was nuts.
Or golems. The hero helped Caridin destroy the Anvil of the Void, along with the dark secrets that could trap a living soul inside a mechanical construct. The hero emerged from the Deep Roads with a master-forged crown to bestow the Paragon's favor upon whichever rival candidate would be crowned king.
Ah, yes.
Balin, the youngest son of King Endrin, who was suspected of foul play, or Haramont, the aging traditionalist back.
So this one was a toughie, because normally I side with Harrowmont, normally. But I think in the end, if I remember correctly, I think in the end we ended up choosing Balin as the ruler of Orzammar, only because I forgot what the explanation was. I really need to look back at my episodes, but I know that there was an explanation as to why Angelus ended up choosing Balin over Harrowmont. So I believe it was Balin who
By the
chose.
Dwarven Assembly. Balin followed his father to the throne. He leads with a ruthless but progressive hand, seeking to re-establish ties to the surface kingdoms. With Jordan's strength now bolstering the Warden's army, the hero had to deal with Loghain, so Ferelden could stand unified against the Darkspawn.
Yeah.
Before the Blight swallowed the world.
Which is why I went to the Landsmeet and stuff.
The kingdom of Ferelden stood divided. While some nobles supported Loghain's regency, others condemned his inaction against the Darkspawn. Civil war brewed, and Arl Eamon called a Landsmeet in hopes of curtailing the conflict.
What happened to Loghain? I don't think that Angelus was very happy with Loghain. And while Angelus probably could understand why Loghain did what he did, he did not feel like he still felt like Loghain couldn't be just set free. And I believe, yes, he actually let Alistair execute Loghain because I think he felt Alistair and Angelus were besties. They were best buddies. Huge major bromance between those two. Huge burning bromance. And Angelus decided that it was right for, if anyone was going to make a call as to what was going to happen with Loghain, it would be Alistair, and Alistair wanted him executed. And so it was only fitting to allow Alistair to be the one to execute Loghain, because it was personal, and I think that Angelus was more than happy to let Alistair be the one.
Conflict and removing Loghain from the throne. Alistair ended Loghain's life in the name of justice for the Wardens who died at Ostagar. As the Warden's united army massed in Redcliffe, the Darkspawn overran Denerim, laying siege to Ferelden's capital city. The hero's army fought valiantly through Denerim and broke the Darkspawn's siege.
Yeah.
On Fort Dracon's highest tower, the hero's strongest allies fought alongside the Warden in a final heroic battle against the...
How was the Battle of Denerim resolved? The Warden... Angelus did kill the Archdemon, but See, this is interesting, because I did kill the Archdemon, but more specifically, Morrigan's Dark Ritual succeeded, which means neither the Warden nor Alistair ended up dying after killing the Archdemon. In this case, Angelus was the one who did the killing blow. But Angelus did end up doing the Dark Ritual with Morrigan. He almost asked Alistair to do it instead, and I think if you watch my Origins Let's Play of that, I was huge internal battle with myself trying to figure out if Alistair or Angelus ultimately would end up with Morrigan's Dark Ritual, but in the end, Angelus couldn't do that to his best friend. So, yeah.
Massive Archdemon. The Archdemon was killed without the sacrifice of a Grey Warden's life. With no Archdemon to lead them, the Darkspawn scattered. Most fled underground, still teeming in number and always seeking a new Archdemon to awaken.
Awaken? You mean awakening?
Ferelden embarked on a long journey to recovery. In the Blight's aftermath, strong leadership was crucial.
Who now rules Ferelden? Okay, so this was again a pretty tough decision, but as much as I think most people tend to prefer I think most people tend to prefer Alistair ruling as king. At minimum, Alistair ruling with Anora or by himself as king. I ended up making Anora the queen, and for a very good reason. Mostly because again, Angelus and Alistair were besties, and it was so clear that Alistair did not want to be king, especially since I didn't harden him. I never hardened Alistair throughout Origins, so he never wanted to be king. And Angelus just did not want to force his best friend to do something that he would end up affecting him for the rest of his life. I mean, that just seemed wrong to him. Deep in his heart, I think Angelus felt that Alistair probably would be an awesome king to Ferelden, despite Alistair's uncertainty, and Angelus probably felt that in the long run, maybe Ferelden would benefit better if Alistair ruled with Anora as king and queen, but that's not Angelus's call. He felt like it should be Alistair's call as to whether or not he should be on the throne. And Alistair, again, made it very clear that he didn't want it. So Angelus had no issues with Anora. He thought Anora did a fine job before, being the ruler behind the scenes of Caelin. And he had no beef with her. So he was like, yeah, Anora's fine. Let her, she clearly wants to rule. Alistair clearly doesn't want to. This isn't such of a hard choice after all. And I actually, most of my playthroughs of Dragon Age Origins, I've actually kept Alistair as a warden. Mostly because my first warden was a female elven mage, and she was in love with Alistair, and she ended up keeping Alistair as a warden instead of having Alistair be king, because if he ended up being king, they couldn't be together without, sneaking around behind Anora's back as a mistress, and my female warden wouldn't have that. So it just made more sense for Alistair to stay as a Grey Warden, and I think the only one time that I did make Alistair king was when I had a female noble warden, so that they could rule together as king and queen. That probably is the only time that I was satisfied enough to let Alistair take the throne. But otherwise, my Alistair typically stays a Grey Warden and Anora rules, and I've, to this day, been perfectly happy with that.
Anora McTeer, daughter of Terran Loghain and widow of King Caelin, assumed the throne of Ferelden after the Fifth Blight was ended. Ferelden still stands, as obstinate and resolute as the Dog Lords ever are, but the events of the Fifth Blight loom over it as the nation rebuilds. For people across Thedas, legends of the hero of Ferelden remain the nation's brightest beacons of hope during its darkest times.
I miss Angelus so much.
It all began in Kirkwall, the fall of Knight Commander Meredith.
Oh, here we go with
Qunari
Hawke.
Uprising. And of course, the Chantry's destruction and the onset of Mage Rebellion.
We didn't go through Awakening, though.
One person always stood amidst the swirling chaos. Hawke, the champion of Kirkwall.
Yes, Clive.
The Hawke family fled Lothering, refugees from the Blight. Leandra, mother of the champion, and siblings Bethany and Carver, hoped to find refuge at her family's estate in Kirkwall.
Was Hawke a mage? Oh, essentially what this question is asking, did Bethany survive or did Carver survive? Hawke was a mage, and we got to keep Carver, and I love Carver so much. Carver gets a lot of hate in this game, but I loved my brother. I loved my little brother so much.
Far to the north. As a mage with a family legacy of magic on both sides, Hawke naturally became involved in the events that ultimately led to the Mage Rebellion. The Hawks escaped the Blight with the help of Aveline Valen, a warrior and family friend. It's said that the family was also aided by Flemeth, the notorious Witch of the Wilds.
Yeah,
Hawke's
Flemeth.
sister Bethany never reached the Free Marches.
Aww.
She was killed by Darkspawn while defending her family.
Poor Bethany.
The family's first years in Kirkwall were difficult. Leandra's brother Gamlin had lost the family fortune. The Hawks lived in poverty, forced to indenture themselves in return for entrance.
Did Hawke join the mercenaries or the smugglers? I think it was the smugglers. It was the elf. Whoever was the elf, that's who we joined. And I believe they were the smugglers, because they were more of the roguish group. I think it was the smugglers.
To the city. To pay off the debt, Hawke was forced
Yeah, the elves. There we go.
gang of smugglers.
Yeah, the elves.
All the while, Hawke and Carver did their best to hide Hawke's magic from the Templars.
Right, okay.
Opportunity eventually struck in the form of a dwarf named Bartrand Tethras, who was planning an expedition to the Deep Roads. It was a long shot, but with gold gained from the expedition, Hawke could free the family from its criminal creditors and further Templar scrutiny.
Mm-hmm.
Hawke met a rogue Grey Warden named Anders, who possessed detailed maps of the Deep Roads.
Oh,
These
Anders.
maps were crucial to the expedition's success. Once Hawke obtained them, everything else fell quickly into place.
Stupid, sexy Anders.
Out of concern for his safety, Hawke insisted that Carver stay in Kirkwall rather than accompany the expedition. Hawke did find ancient dwarven treasure.
I didn't tell him to
but the
stay.
group also stumbled upon...
No, I told Carver to come with. And Carver didn't become a Templar. He became a Grey Warden because I brought Anders with me, who Clive was starting to have some feelings for at that point.
Hawke met a rogue Grey Warden named Anders, who possessed detailed maps
Yeah,
of
they
the
should
Deep
have put that
Roads.
edit choice earlier.
These maps were crucial to the expedition's success. Once Hawke obtained them, everything else fell quickly
and
into
then,
place.
Yeah, stupid, sexy Anders. Go on.
Carver joined Hawke on the expedition. The
Yeah.
siblings found ancient dwarven treasure and a statuette formed from a strange red lyrium.
Oh, is that what that statuette
Carver
looked
fell
like?
victim to the light
Yeesh.
that suffuses the Deep Roads, but Anders led him to a group of Grey Wardens who were able to save his life.
Yay, Anders.
The gold Hawke recovered from the Deep Roads brought back Leandra's stately childhood home in Hightown. The Hawks had barely settled into their new home when Leandra was murdered.
Yeah.
A deeply sinister and twisted killing. Hawke hunted down Quentin, the
Oh,
blood mage
no.
responsible, but could not prevent Leandra's death. Leandra's tragic death was part of a critical problem facing Kirkwall.
Yeah.
Rising tension between the city's mages, who felt increasingly oppressed, and Templars, who grew increasingly suspicious of their activities. Adding to the strain, a large contingent of Qunari had also established themselves in Kirkwall, much to the growing discomfort of the city's rulers. After their dreadnought was shipwrecked many years before, a group of stranded Qunari were allowed to remain in a cordoned-off area in Lowtown. As time passed, the Qunari made no effort to return home, and offered no explanation about why they remained. Tensions rose to a breaking point. Revered Mother Patrice, convinced the Qunari were a threat to the Chantry's faith,
Patrice
incited violence between the Qunari and the Kirkwall populace.
did not want.
Hawke knew that Patrice would bring about unnecessary conflict. Though the champion tried to...
Did Hawke side with Patrice? Heck no. Maker's breath, no. So did not.
stop her, Patrice orchestrated the murder of Seamus Dumar.
Oh,
Viscount's son
Seamus.
And a recent convert to
I
the
really
Q.
loved Seamus.
When her crime was discovered, a Qunari assassin killed her. After Seamus was murdered, the Arishok of the Qunari group lost patience with the humans of Kirkwall. They would now submit to the Qun or
Oh,
die.
poor Seamus.
The Qunari struck hard and fast. They took the palace in Hightown and beheaded the Viscount to immediately quash any resistance.
Yeah.
Aided by Knight Commander Meredith and First Enchanter Orsino, Hawke reached the palace and stood toe-to-toe with the fearsome Qunari leader.
How did Hawke resolve the Qunari uprising? No. Isabella did appear, but she was not taken prisoner. Hawke ended up defeating Arishok in order to essentially save Isabella.
Hawke fought the Qunari leader. The fierce battle resulted in the Arishok's death and the liberation of Kirkwall from its
The
brief
long
occupation.
kiting battle.
The Qunari quickly withdrew from the city entirely. Hawke
That was
saved
painful.
Kirkwall and earned the grudging respect of the city's Templars, mages, and nobility, along with the title that history remembers, the Champion of Kirkwall.
That's Clive.
Kirkwall's problems were still not over, however.
Of course
After
not.
Viscount Dumar's death, Knight Commander Meredith took power and blocked all attempts to appoint a new Viscount. Under Meredith's command, the Templars tightened their grip on the mages, planning to suppress what Meredith saw as a growing rebellion. Anders, who spent years fighting for justice and freedom for his fellow mages, saw that the time for negotiation was past.
Stupid sexy
He
Anders.
destroyed Kirkwall's chantry, killing hundreds, including Grand Cleric Elfina.
I really liked her
This single
too.
act began a rebellion that spread from circle to circle, until all circles of Magi had risen up in defiance.
What happened to Anders? Well, I wouldn't say that he's alive and well, because you can bet that Clive had quite a talking to after he did what he did. Clive was definitely torn, and I gave my reasonings in my Let's Play, full-on reasonings of why ultimately Clive decided to not execute Anders. So Anders is alive, but I don't think he's quite well just yet.
Against Chantry rule. Though Anders had done the unforgivable, something stayed the champion's hand. Anders survived the day, although many others did not.
Yeah.
Fighting spread swiftly through the city. Some mages rebelled openly, many of them succumbing to possession. Templars turned their swords on mages who rebelled and on those who did not. As First Enchanter Orsino refused to bend to the Templars, Knight Commander Meredith demanded that every mage in Kirkwall be put to the sword. Hawke saved many mages from Templar blades, keeping them from succumbing to possession or the temptations of blood magic.
Did Hawke side with the mages or Templars in the final battle? Clive was very good about seeing both sides. Like, he was a mage himself, but I think... say what you will about Clive, because I know his personality was not as likable as Angelus's. Angelus, when I role-played Angelus, I made him a lot similar to... the choices that he made was very similar to the choices that I would make, for the most part. And I purposely made Clive different. I didn't want him to be a cookie cutter in personality of Angelus. I wanted him to be his own character. And because I made him his own character, he was probably not as lovable per se as Angelus was. He was not as sweet as Angelus was. He was his own person. But one thing that I will give Clive props for is that he was very good about looking at the other side, looking at where the other person was coming from, especially when the mages and Templar conflict was involved, despite the fact that he was also a mage. That being said, after weighing everything that was going on between the mages and the Templars, he did not think that all of the mages deserved to be annulled. He thought that that was just ridiculous. That was ludicrous. And Meredith was out of line. And so for that, he sided with the mages.
In the end, however, Hawke was forced to strike down Orsino, who
Yeah.
had betrayed his own values by resorting to blood magic
We had it under
himself.
control, Orsino. I don't know why he
The
did
battle
that.
proved one thing. Knight Commander Meredith had gone mad. Hawke saw the truth of it when Meredith unsheathed her sword, and the red lyrium idol from the deep roads was embedded
Yep.
within it. The blade fueled her hatred and paranoia, as it had for months. After a horrific battle, the red lyrium of the Knight Commander's sword consumed her as she died. Meredith became a statue, her face a frozen mask of horror. Little is known of the champion since that final battle.
Yeah.
However, Hawke's story lives on in legend and song. Memories of the indelible changes the champion of Kirkwall brought to the face of Thedas.